All of y'all for the testimony. So you know, I have held it as long as I can. And I don't want you to get in trouble with God. A testimony is getting up and thanking God for what He has done for you. How He brought you out. How He saved and cleaned you up. It's not the gospel, it's a testimony. Only what God done for you. If you bought anything else, you're doing like upside. I got to tell you this, because I've been trying not to. Uzziah went into the temple to burn incense. He was a blessed man of God. Anointed king, put over the peoples of God. And he went into the temple to burn incense. And the priest said, that is not for you to do. The gospel belongs to the preacher. And anything concerning the gospel is when the preacher gets through, you take the gospel to the outside and tell them. Everyone in the church knows what the gospel is about because they hear the preacher. You get up to testify. And then you take what you heard from the preacher to the outside. And tell them about it. Don't y'all say nothing. Don't witness me. Just listen to me. If anyone witness what God is saying right now, you're rebelling against Him. Don't rebel. So listen, I must tell you so you won't make those mistakes. And Uzziah said to the priest, I have every right to burn incense. The gospel don't belong to you in here. The gospel belongs to you outside. And Uzziah decided that he was going to override the king. 20 of the priests come out behind that high priest. And they withstood the king and said, don't burn the incense. And the king, I'm the king over God's people. I do exactly what I want. I got it from God. And that priest said to him, that is not your job. We have this job, not you. And that king lit that incense, lit that match, and stuck it to that incense, and God cursed him with leprosy. And he died out of the camp. Don't bother the gospel unless God totally give you the gospel. Leave that alone. That can help you, or it can destroy you. You take the gospel, the preacher, the gospel is given to him to instruct the people's here. And once I instruct you, you are to go out. Now we have people that run from church to church. People do things that they're ignorant of. And it is their fault when they hear the preacher say, get in somebody's church, listen to them, because the Holy Ghost don't perfect you. God only perfect that which is concerning him. The preacher is for the perfecting of the saints. The preacher is to teach them how to live and how to walk with God. And when they leave here, they're supposed to go out and tell people. Your life got to be a change in your life. There got to be a change in your walk, in your talk, in what you eat, what you drink, all of these things, the way you look, the way you dress, the way you carry yourself. There got to be a change. You don't fall under the laws of doctrine and tradition, but you do fall under the laws of the Spirit of God because it leads and guides you. But be very mindful when you get up to testify, what you say. Because what you say may come back and happen. Now I tell you that because I can't keep withholding what I have to say. I must tell you, and if I don't tell you and don't instruct you, it means I may care, but not enough to care enough to tell you. Now we have what they call Sunday school, what we call Bible study, what we call teachers' meetings, and these things. If you are called and ain't chosen, you can abide in those things by setting up teachers' meetings, setting up preaching rallies, and all that other stuff. But leave the instruction. God does not put me here to give you instruction. For you to give me instruction. God didn't put me here for you to minister to me. God put you here that I can minister to you through Him. And any word that He gives you that He didn't give me, you hold that word and watch it. And let God bring it to pass here. Because if He gave it to you, He gave it to you for you. Not for nobody here but you. And if He told you to tell anybody something or minister to anybody something, you go directly to them. You don't have to be happy. You don't have to be anointed. You don't have to do nothing but just flat out tell them what the Lord told you and leave that alone. But if you bother with the gospel, you're going to get yourself in trouble because that is not the right thing to do. And if I don't tell you, I won't be a good minister. A baby start doing something, for instance, if that baby going to beat the drum. And if that baby going to be off, I don't care how good it looks, and it do look good to see him beat the drum. But if he can't keep up, he'll be a hindrance. It may be cute. And if she get mad because I tell him to get off, it may be cute to her, but then someone else stand there and say, why don't they get that baby off the drum? This is why I look at some of y'all and say, pick it up or get off. Because if you strive for the excellency of the ministry, you strive to be perfected in what God told you to do. Get that and get it good. Don't let the spirits fool you. God is not the author of confusion. If the spirit, I say it many times, and I say it again, so you can really get it. And I'll say this blunt. If God told me something, I have the right to ask God for a sign. And my sign shouldn't be nothing that I can do or nothing that's easy or nothing that I believe. If God told me to tell you something, I can say to God, I want that chair to get up and walk over here, that I will know that that's you. And I say to the chair, hey chair, come in. And if that chair remains sat in there, that's a sign that God ain't told me that. And if God told me that, it meant for me to carry that out, that chair get up and come walking over here. I don't care what you believe. I don't care how much you believe. The devil believes. And he don't want to believe. He believes and trembles. And I must tell you the truth, because if I don't, you'll be deceived. So you have to make sure if God say something. And when God, anyone say to any of y'all, thus saith the Lord, I don't care how happy you is, I don't care how much pressure you feel, you stable yourself, be still, and be quiet, and don't move. Let God tell you what He said. And if that person is telling the truth, it'll come to pass just like the person said. If that person is a liar, that person is a liar. So I must teach you that you may know, because the time going to come where you're going to have false teachers. And even now we got it. The only one that can override anything going on in the church is the preacher, the pastor, other than God. And God does not work contrary to leadership. And I must tell you that, because if I don't tell you, you don't know. A baby believe anything you tell them, and some of them now is growing up where they don't believe that. So this is why some people get mad with preachers. This is why some of them leave the church. This is why some of them run from church to church. This is why some of them is in nobody's church. Because they will not let their spirit be subject to be taught. And if you can't be taught, you can't be the preacher. If you can't be a good follower, you can't be a good leader. If you can't pray a headache off of you, you sure cannot pray the devil off of nobody else. If you cannot walk in and be stood fast in what the preachers say, what can you tell anybody else? You got to learn to come to church when you're getting something from God. Listen to what the preachers say. And if you miss what the preachers say, come back to him and remind him of what he said and ask him so you'll understand it. There's nothing wrong with sometimes God talking and you miss it. You don't want to miss it, but if he's talking and you don't understand it, it's okay to come to the preacher because the apostles done it to Jesus. But always, as long as Jesus was in existence, the Spirit of God, he had no need for that. And when that came, he recognized it and told what it was there for. And that didn't operate a lot while he was present, because it was not time for that. Now Jesus is gone. The Spirit will operate. But if the preacher get up and the prophet say something different, the Spirit becomes subject. It don't change. It don't get upset. It don't get mad, because it knows the depths of God. It knows God. So I must instruct you. When you testify, get up. I thank the Lord for being here. It's all about you and what he done for you. And when you finish, sit down. Leave the gospel alone. Leave saying to everybody else what the Lord said to them. Because that's a no-no. Because someone else can take that offensive, and someone else can say the Lord didn't say it. And someone else can watch that. And if it don't happen, some will say to me, as preachers used to say to us when we would get up and try to preach at Mother White Church, or get up and try to go forth, and Mother White would allow us. The preacher would say to Mother White, Mother White, why don't you set those children down and teach them? Jesus commissioned us to teach, that you would not be out of line. And if you're out of line, it's the preacher's fault if you're there and you can say that. If a child may be cute what the child doing, and the child may be learning, you give them a chance to learn, but when they as they grow, they should learn. And if they don't learn it, then you have to take time to tell them. And if they don't get it, you have to be forceful that they get it. And if they reject what you're saying, then you have to stand for what you say by setting them down, what you need to put on this teaching. And I'm here to teach and to instruct you. If God told you more than what he told me, then what am I doing here? If you were saved and everybody was cleaned up before Jesus came, what need would it be for Jesus to come? If everybody's anointed, what the anointing going to do for somebody? If everybody on the same level, then that's kind of disaster for us all trying to tell one another something. You would never be on the level of your preacher. When you come to the house of God, you come to hear. You should be more willing to hear than to speak. I must tell you these things while the Spirit speaks to me to tell you.